Welcome to this lesson, and we're going to be looking at if statements for this part of the lesson. Now, if statements are very easy to get your head around, and they are something that we do every single day. So I'm going to show you this flow chart. Now, flow charts are a beautiful way to show an if statement working. So we've got a condition in the middle here, which is a little diamond, and then what we've got is a condition if true and a condition if false. So let's take this now as a really quick example. So let's say, for example, the condition is it raining outside? Well, if the condition is true, so if it is raining, this code here could say take an umbrella. Whereas if it's false, well, we don't need an umbrella. So all we do is we'd skip that part of the code, and then we continue the program running. And then we may have, say, another if statement tagged on under here, or we could have some other piece of code running after that. Just to show you as a different example, this is another example of block-based code. This is actually using a microbit editor. So we've got a forever loop here, and we'll go through loops in another lesson. But we've got an if and we've got an else if. So you can see with this code here on the on the left, we have just one if statement running, but this here is multiple if statements. So we've got if button A is pressed, then it's going to show the string button A has been pressed. So it's basically an output button A has been pressed. But what happens if button A isn't pressed? Well, look, we've got this other block here. So it says else if. Now in Python, we won't actually say the word else if. We use a slightly different syntax. But if you look at there, we've got else if button B is pressed, then we're going to show the string button B pressed. And then we've got this last thing here, which is an else. Now the else, think of the else like a catch-all. So in other words, if none of these apply, then it's going to show this. So if none of these conditions are actually true, then we're just going to show no button pressed. So if we think of a little microbit with two buttons on there, if neither of those are pressed, then it's just going to continually show this nothing's been pressed. Now if statements are essentially to test if a condition has been met, and if it's true, then we're basically going to run a piece of code. Now I'm going to switch to my editor here, and I'm going to give you a really nice example. So let's say, for example, we have a variable, and I got a variable here called a equals 10. So at the top of this program, I've set a variable and I've given it a value of 10. I'm going to say if a is equal to 10, then as I've done this, you'll notice a few things. As I'm speaking, I'm trying to annotate the code here. So this is a single equals, this is a double equals. A single equals passes the variable, don't forget, or sets the variable. So a there is set as 10. This here compares. So I'm saying, is it equal to? And the little semicolon, the little colon on the end here is like a then, right? So if a is equal to 10, then we're gonna print a is equal to 10. Now you'll notice one thing has happened here. As I've pressed enter in the end, it's indented my code. This is something that Python does. With Python, it works on indentation. It makes the code a little bit more readable. So what happens if a isn't equal to 10? Well, we need another condition in. And as I press enter at the end here, I've then got to press the backspace a few times and then say else print a is not equal to 10. So this is a really nice example of an if statement. So we've got if a is equal to 10, print this, else that. So what happens when I run this code? Well, when I run this code, it says a is equal to 10. What happens if we change this to 9? It's going to go straight through this first if statement, because it's not true, and then we're going to just run this one. And again, if you change this number to anything, unless it's equal to 10, it will not run this code ever. So that's a really basic introduction to if statements. What happens if we want more than one statement to try to test to see if maybe a number is higher or lower than a certain figure? Well, let's do this as an example. I'm going to make a variable called number, and I'm going to we're going to write this code here, which says, give me a number, which is an input, and we're going to turn this input into an integer, right? So a whole number. So if I just run this, just to show you what it's doing, at the moment it's just saying there, give me a number. So what we're going to do is we're going to run this, and we're going to say, if number is greater than 100, then print you have entered a big number. Now we've got one condition here. If we want more, then I'm going to just press the backspace, and I'm going to say elif number is greater than or equal to 50, then print you have, keep on forgetting my speech marks, you have entered a number greater than or equal to, can't type this morning, 50. Now what happens if neither of these conditions are true? Well, what we're going to do is an else print you have entered a small number. So this is a basic way of an if statement working now, right? So we've got an if, we've got an else if, and we've got an else. So let's run this code and see what happens. Give me a number. Well, we're going to enter a number that's quite large. So I'm going to enter a number which is 1,000. As you can see straight away, it's come up. You've entered a big number. Brilliant. Let's run this again. What happens if we enter 20? Well, it's gone through this first part here and said, no, is number greater than 20? No, it's not. Is number greater than or equal to 50? No, it's not. So it's gone straight to the else. Let's run this again. What happens if we enter a number that is bang on 50? Well, it's met that condition there. And let's just do one last test to say 100. So if number is greater than 100, what happens here? Is it going to say you've entered a big number, or is it going to say the second condition? Just have to think of that before I press enter. It's actually gone here, and the reason being is this term here is asking for greater than. Now if I did say greater than or equal to, obviously that would meet the first condition, but it doesn't. This is why these operators are quite important, and you need to make sure they are the right way around. Now I've made mistakes with programming for many years. One thing I'll always tell you is always start with the highest numbers first and work down, because if we started off with small numbers, then obviously it would always hit then the smallest figure first. So please make sure you start off with a large number, and when you're doing the tasks now that I'm going to set for you, just remember, show me the output that you get as well, okay? Not just the code. I'd like to see what number or what output the programs give you. Please refer back to Moodle and complete the tasks on Moodle.